With the command line covered, let's master the graphical interface by configuring Windows settings. This is your rapid review of Objective 1.6. We'll be looking at two key areas, the classic control panel and the modern Windows settings app. First, the control panel. Pro tip, switch the view to large icons to see everything. Let's start with Internet options, the browser security guard. The Security tab lets you set permissions for different zones, like the Internet or your local intranet. The Connections tab is where you configure a VPN or a proxy server. Programs and Features is your application inventory. Here you can uninstall programs and, crucially, turn Windows features on or off, like adding Internet Information Services or IIS. The Network and Sharing Center is the network operations room. Go into an adapter's properties, and you can configure its IPv4 settings, like the IP address in DNS servers, or set it to use DHCP. The System Applet is the computer's ID badge. It shows your Windows edition and RAM, and under Advanced System Settings, you can configure the virtual memory paging file. The Windows Defender Firewall is your digital gatekeeper, with different security policies for private and public networks. File Explorer Options is critical for technicians. The View tab is where you choose to view hidden files, and, most importantly, uncheck Hide extensions for known file types. Power Options is the system's energy expert. Sweep Mode keeps your work in RAM for a quick resume, requiring a little power. Hibernate saves your work to the storage drive and powers off completely, which is essential if you need to remove the battery. Hibernate is also the technology behind Fast Startup. In these settings, you can also choose what closing the laptop lid does and configure USB Selective Suspend to manage power to peripherals. Finally, Device Manager is the hardware interpreter. It lists all device drivers, and it's where you go to update, disable, or uninstall a driver to troubleshoot hardware problems. Now for the modern Windows Settings app. Time and language is critical in a corporate environment, as correct system time is required for encryption and Active Directory to work. Update and security is where you manage Windows Update. You can configure active hours here to prevent the system from rebooting in the middle of your workday. Privacy settings let you control how much data you share, including enabling or disabling speech recognition services. Devices is the hub for physical connections, including Bluetooth pairing and configuring mouse settings. Network and Internet is the modern equivalent of the Network and Sharing Center, where you can configure your IP and DNS settings. And finally, the Accounts section is where you manage your Microsoft and local user accounts and configure sign-in options like a PIN or MFA. That covers the critical details for this objective. To recap, the control panel is the classic interface for deep administrative tasks. The Windows Settings app is the modern UI where settings are migrating. In Control Panel, use Internet options for proxy settings, Programs and Features to add or remove Windows components, and File Explorer options to view hidden files and extensions. Power Options distinguishes between Sleep, which uses RAM, and Hibernate, which saves to the disk. Device Manager is your go-to for all hardware driver issues. In the Modern Settings app, use Update and Security to set active hours, and Accounts to configure sign-in options like a PIN or MFA.